Hello and good day. Welcome into another edition of Musings from the Mountains, the video podcast from WVSports.com. It's question day. Question day. You got the
time of the week.
We got some answers. Might not be the answers you're looking for, but we've got answers. I'm managing editor Keenan Cummings. I work for WVSports.com.
And I'm staff writer Patrick Kotnik.
Works for the same site. What a coincidence. Sponsored by WVSports.com. So,
what are the odds?
Yeah, what are the odds? Let's go. Let's take questions. Let's roll it.
All right. First one, and this seems to be the $1 million question around this time every year. When's the 2021 Hopword coming out?
I feel like I'm getting assaulted about this, and I do this most years, but guys, there's a real reason why I wait. I'm not waiting to laugh at you all.
And it's a good reason.
Yeah, I'm not waiting to just withhold information. I'm not waiting to just be mean. I'm not sitting there laughing or doing anything like that. There's a real reason why I wait, and typically this time of the year, especially now with a sped-up recruiting calendar, offers change the entire complexion of recruiting almost overnight. You know, you'll have guys go from really interested in schools to not interested in schools at all, and so on. So I think at this point, the best approach that I've had over the years, I typically wait till late. You're gonna hold me to this because it's gonna be on camera, but late March to April, because things start to settle then, and I get a good read. I think the fact that you all continually want me to do this every year speaks to its accuracy, speaks to kind of its reputation over the years, that it's something I put a lot of time into, and I like my picks to give you some value as opposed to just throwing out some stuff and hoping it sticks.
It's a good reason. Very good reason.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, Arch.
A little OT for this next question, but still relevant. Kind of random though, but who will be the Mountaineer this year? When is that selected, and who is involved in the selection?
I don't know who it'll be. I think there's a new rule in place where you can't have 1-2 years in a row, right?
Yeah.
I think they just started that. Timothy Eads is the current Mountaineer from Buffalo, near my neck of the woods in Hurricane, West Virginia. Good old Hurricane, not Hurricane. Don't dare say that. We'll find you. It's selected. I think it's a committee of staff, faculty, students. They have a cheer-off type deal, an application, essay, you name it. It's almost like getting into the CIA. They do a audition in basketball games. Last year, I think they selected it at the Kansas State or the TCU game. One of the
It's
two.
usually like halftime of a basketball game.
It'll be halftime of a basketball game. Usually it's in late. I want to say late February. But this is a leap year, so who knows? But should be soon. We should have a new Mountaineers soon. I know you're all waiting on pins and needles.
Next question, talking about a guy that just enrolled recently. Does Garrett Green, quarterback, become a starter here?
I don't have a crystal ball. I can't see 3 or 4 years in the future. Does he become a starter this year? I think that would be the biggest upset of all time. Well, that's not fair. But it would be a major upset if he becomes a starter this year. Next year, I think even might be pushing it. Consider Daggy has 2 years left. So, can he become the starter after that? Absolutely. You look at the depth chart right now. If you project that far ahead, which I'm telling you, it's dangerous. Don't ever do that. If you project that far ahead, there's going to be 2 quarterbacks on the roster right now, and one of them is going to be Green, and the other one's going to be Trey Lowe. It should be interesting. I mean, they're going to bring in more guys. Obviously, they're going to bring in a 2021 guy. By then, a 2022 guy. Mm-hmm. So the waters will be muddy, but you bring in guys that you're confident with, that you think can compete for the job. That was Neil Brown's hand-picked guy. That's who he wanted. He picked him over a lot of different guys that had interest. And if you're following recruiting, if you're following a program, that's what you hope happens.
Yeah, and competition brings out the best in everybody, right? But like I said, I feel like it's so hard to project that far ahead, just because there's so much turnover now with college football and the transfer portal and all that. Not saying that's going to happen, but I'm just saying that's why it's dangerous to project it that far. I
mean, look at Georgia. They probably thought that they had Justin Fields lined up when Jake Fromm went to the NFL, but guess what? He quarterbacked Ohio State this past year. Things change fast in college football.
Exactly. Next question here. Why has the West Virginia run game suffered so much the last 2 years? Is it the running backs, the O-line, or the scheme?
I don't necessarily think it struggled as much in 2018 under Dana. I actually thought it was pretty productive for the most part. Last year was an abomination. It was not good. It was very, very bad. poor, really historically
What was
bad.
it? It was like 7 games, 51 yards or less.
Yeah, 7 games, 51 yards or less. They had, I think, less than 800 yards rushing as a team. That's just not going to cut it. And it starts with the offensive line. There's more than that.
Yeah.
Running backs have to be more decisive. Running backs have to actually have a hole, though. But they need to be more decisive. You have to have better blocking on the perimeter. But the interior offensive line, for lack of a better term, was abused. They struggled mightily. Some of that comes with age. They were playing guys that probably weren't ready to play there yet. So that'll come with age. They'll be a year older. You got to replace your tackles now, though, which is a concern. But we'll see how it goes. I think West Virginia is going to have a challenge. That's by far the number one concern. You talk to Neil Brown, talk to anybody on offense, there is getting the run game going on the offensive line, and then there's whatever is next.
And what's the biggest storyline that's going to come out, Keenan? Offensive line?
It's going to be offensive line. I'm going to say this till I'm blue in the face, guys. Until the offensive line plays well, and that's no knock on Matt Moore. This was my concern last year. Until the offensive line can consistently play well, that's going to be my concern.
Mm-hmm. Same here. A little OT. Next question: blackened fish taco or steak fajita taco?
Now, as everyone knows, I'm not the biggest fan of tacos, but
I'm not a fan of seafood either.
When people say tacos, though, I want them to understand. I don't mean anything you can wrap in a wrap. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the traditional taco you go get from Taco Bell. I don't like that. Not a fan of sour cream, guacamole, sauce, none of that stuff. I don't like the seasoned taco meat. I'm not a fan of that. But would I eat a steak taco? Sure. I'm sure. Yeah, that's great. Let's call it a wrap. I'll eat it. Would I eat a fish one? Yes. And I think between the two, if I was hard pressed, probably blackened fish. Depends on the fish, though.
I steak fajita taco all
Yeah, but
day.
you don't like seafood.
Yeah, but steak you can't turn down steak. Next question here: are there any legacy recruits available the next 3 cycles?
Yes, this is off the top of my head, so difficult to just rattle them off. But one you should familiarize yourself with is J.J. Jones, who is from South Carolina. Has already visited West Virginia, son of John Jones, who played running back, I believe, in the early 90s. Got to watch. West Virginia's involved there. They offered early. His recruitment's blowing up. Recently added Tennessee and a couple other schools. So keep an eye on him. I'm sure there's more. It's harder to do that off the top of your head.
Now staying in the world of recruiting, DB safety recruiting, where does West Virginia stand with the prospects there?
If you're referring to 2020 class, I think the work's probably about done. Maybe you see a late guy, depending on how the scholarships fall. West Virginia obviously tried to get Latavius Daniel late, almost had him, and then he once those Mississippi schools get involved for those Mississippi JUCO kids, it's hard to pull them away. But I think if the right guy made himself available, West Virginia explores that. 2021, there's a lot of guys. I'll have to go through that in an article at this point because you're looking at a lot of different players for different spots. I think West Virginia could take upwards of 3 safeties in this class.
Next one here. Where is Trey Nair from? Hope I'm saying that right. Trey Nair.
Defensive recruiting coordinator takes the job of Casey Smithson, who, by the way, did a fantastic job. I want people to know that. A lot of people don't realize the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and Casey Smithson was absolute pro at his job. He did a great job. He kind of held that class together last year when Neil was transitioning in here. He was the only real holdover from the previous staff. Trey has big shoes to fill, and I think that he's qualified, obviously. Director of Player Personnel for Miami of Ohio the last 2 years. So he's been there, done that. Now it's time to do it at this level. I think it's an interesting hire from the sake that, Neil had some options he could look at, and that's who he targeted on. So we'll see how it works. I think it'll probably be a good fit for West Virginia. I don't think Neil Brown's made many bad hires, would you argue? If any, bad hires. It seems like he really takes his time and kind of vets these processes. So I think it's a good hire for West Virginia, and now we'll see. I think it's interesting, too, how the way they structure things. Under the old staff.
A lot of attention to detail.
Yeah, under the old staff, there was kind of one recruiting coordinator. There's an offensive recruiting coordinator, a defensive recruiting coordinator, a recruiting analyst. There's a whole recruiting department.
Mm-hmm. Going to basketball here. Why doesn't Huggins settle on 7 or 8 guys instead of a 12-man rotation?
Well, if you watch that Texas game, you kind of got your wish. Hug shortened the bench a little bit. I don't know if that was a byproduct of just everything going right, because that was kind of West Virginia's Super Saiyan game, if you want to say. Super Saiyan 3, maybe. That's as good as they're going to play. But Could he shorten the bench? Sure. I think the reason he hasn't is he likes kind of tinkering with things, and really what they do is they physically wear teams down. It's not the press, but in the half court, they physically wear teams down. They throw waves and waves and waves. I listen to the opposing coaches after the games, going through their interview sessions after we get done talking to the players, and something almost every single one of them have mentioned is the depth. How much depth West Virginia has, how much they throw at them.
And that's something that West Virginia didn't have last year at all. I mean, the numbers.
Especially the end of the season.
Yeah, the numbers were.
I think you were out there. You were posting up.
I hope it would never come to that. But yeah, numbers were a huge problem for West Virginia, especially late last season. And that's been one of their biggest assets this year, has been utilizing that depth. They have so many guys who can come off the bench. Look at Miles McBride. I know there have been some people who argue maybe he should be a starter, but he told me that coming off the bench allows them to kind of see what's going right, what's going wrong, gives them a chance to see what defense the other team's playing. Miles McBride's been able to score some points off the bench, but also when Sean McNeil gets going, Chase Harler, Taz Sherman, they got a lot of guys who are capable of producing and scoring points and playing defense as well. And that's been able, since they have so many players who can do that, come off the bench, all that depth. I mean, that's been able to wear teams down.
I think Hugs made it clear earlier in the year, like he feels very good about 1 through 12 compared to another team's 1 through 7. I don't see him deviating that much from that. Can he shorten it 1 or 2? Sure. But do I see him making it a 6-7 man rotation? No, not for the sake of just more efficiency on offense.
This is my favorite question for today. What is more likely in 2020? Big 12 championship or Keno eating a taco? But I think a banana is more appropriate here.
Yeah, a banana. Taco has become the joke, but a banana is that's the devil's fruit. That's the thing I'm not going to eat. I hate to say this because I'm optimistic about the program and the trajectory of the program, but I think
wait, are we talking football or basketball here though?
I think they're talking basketball or football. They've got to be right.
Okay.
I mean,
I was just scared it wasn't specified.
Because if it's basketball, I think the Big 12 championship is very possible. If it's football, I'm sorry to say this, but I think you'll probably see me eating a 12-pack of Taco Bell tacos before that happens this year. I think West Virginia's a year away from really making a run.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like this upcoming season, I know it's kind of too early to tell. We haven't had spring practice yet, but I think they'll make a lot more strides, especially this upcoming season. But I really feel like it's going to be the season after that is when you're going to see some of those some Browns recruits really start to be put in a position to contribute, and they'll get the chance to see what they got, to show what they got on the field. Second to last question here. This has to do with the board. Why do people keep screwing up the quotes in replies?
Hallelujah. Thank you for asking that question, because I've been wondering the same thing. If you are a member of WVSports.com, if you post on the blue lot, guys, all you got to do is hit reply. If you hit reply under someone's post, it'll quote it, and you can hit enter twice and type.
Don't do anything.
Yeah, for some reason, we've got all these weird quotes, and it's messing up the structure. We got to get that fixed. We got to have a tutorial class. I guess I'm kind of properly giving one here. We'll get it fixed. We'll get it addressed. Thank you for the question.
This final question here. I kind of took three different questions about quarterbacks, combined them into one here. Quarterbacks. What happens to the other quarterbacks outside of Garrett Green if they do not win the starting job? And I know another question was asked about Austin Kendall, whether or not he was going to be healthy enough to participate in spring.
Well, I think because I don't think Neil mentioned anything about it. I don't think there's any concerns there. What happens? Again, it's hard to say.
You never know.
If you look at the on the surface, let's just say Daggy maintains the job that he finished last year as the starter. You got Austin Kendall with 1 year left. Does he want to play somewhere else? Does he want to finish out his career? Is he happy at West Virginia? He could go somewhere else, transfer down, play somewhere else for a year, but does he really want to, or does he want to stay in battle for the job? Neil said he's going to make it a real quarterback competition between the two. So I think he's the iffy one. Trey Lowe is more of a situation where I don't think he's really in the running for the job to begin with, but maybe he likes playing baseball. Maybe he likes his role as a backup quarterback. Maybe he even potentially could look at a different position. He's athletic enough to play there. Do I know the answer? No. If I did, I wouldn't be doing this, guys. But I do think that what I have seen, at least West Virginia does have some options there. If Daggy's not the guy, I think things get more interesting. If he is the guy, then we start to look at what's going to happen. If either of these guys are going to leave, It's too late now. You're not going to leave at this point. You'd probably leave at the end of this upcoming semester to get somewhere in May. So you kind of survived that first little wave of the transfer portal, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're shutting the door on it.
Yeah, and there'll be a competition too, as Keenan mentioned. The staff, really loves to bring out the best in the players and make competitions and all that, especially with all the position battles that have gone on. So it's gonna be interesting to see what we hear from the coaches, come springtime. But I guess we'll ride it out until then.
I need to call Neil and find some ways to make you better through competition. But
you're the best to compete with.
Thanks for tuning in again. Another fun field. Thanks for your questions. We do appreciate it. I'm going to try to do more of these regularly. Try to get some more on the breaking news side of things as well. When things happen, we'll try to have these to you. If you haven't, if this is your first time watching this, you liked it, you enjoyed it, like the information, I recommend you come over to the site, WVSports.com. We cover West Virginia year-round, football, basketball, recruiting. We get into a lot of different things. We have a very active message board. It's a good time. I recommend you give it a try. If you first time watch this, hit subscribe. We recommend you come back and enjoy it again. But this has been another fun-filled edition of Musings from the Mountains.